afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Renee Fong and you are watching Updates at Noon. Making the headlines today, over 12,000 deaths reported in Turkey after earthquakes disaster. PM visit to Thailand to explore new collaborations. The number of people who died in powerful earthquakes in southern Turkey has surpassed 12,000. Turkey's disaster management agency, AFAD, said 12,391 people were killed and 62,914 others were injured in Monday's quake centered in Kahramanmaraş province. Other provinces in southern and eastern Turkey that were affected by the quakes are Gaziantep, Hatay, Osmaniye, Adıyaman, Malatya, Şanlıurfa, Adana, Diyarbakır and Kilis. More than 6,000 buildings collapsed due to the 7.7 and 7.6 magnitude quakes that occurred in the space of less than 10 hours. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said yesterday Turkey has taken action with all its institutions and resources since the deadly earthquakes in its southern provinces. It added that more than 13 million people have been impacted by the quakes. Meanwhile, UN Chief Antonio Guterres said the United Nations will issue a flash appeal early next week to support humanitarian needs in Turkey following the country's deadly earthquakes. Guterres paid a visit to the Turkish ambassador to the UN, Feridun Sinirlioglu, to convey his condolences to the people of the earthquake-hit country. He said he sent the UN Emergency Relief Chief to Turkey to assess the needs. The 17-member Special Malaysia Disaster Assistance and Rescue Team, SMART, that was deployed for the Search and Rescue SAR mission in Turkey due to a devastating earthquake, have been split into smaller units according to the needs and objectives of the mission. The National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, in a statement said the first deployment of the SMART team members are based at various locations in Gaziantep, Adana and Istanbul. According to the statement, the second SMART team, which is scheduled to leave for Turkey tonight, comprises 70 elite search and rescue SAR members who are trained to carry out such missions. The team is made up of 20 members from SMART, 30 from the Fire and Rescue Department, and another 20 from the Malaysian Civil Defence Forces. NADMA Director General Datuk Khairul Shahril Idrus has assigned the commanders from SMART and NADMA to take charge as operations commanders for both teams, now known as Team MAS 01 first deployment and Team MAS 10 second deployment. The second team will also be accompanied by 2 officers from NADMA and 3 media members from official medias. NADMA in the statement said efforts are being made to send a K9 unit, but it would depend on the procedures and current situation. In the same development, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Sabah, Sarawak Affairs and Special Duties, Datuk Armizan Muhammad Ali, said the second group was sent based on requests made by the Turkish government who needs help with regard to urban search and rescue.
Kita sedia maklum bahawa pasukan SMART kita merupakan antara pasukan SAR yang diiktiraf mempunyai pensijilan antarabangsa UN Insarak, dan kerana hubungan baik di antara kedua-dua negara iaitu Malaysia dan juga Turki, mereka memohon bantuan tambahan dan Kabinet pagi tadi telah meluluskan untuk kita menghantar segera pasukan kedua yang bergerak serta-merta pada malam ini.
The minister said this during the SAR mission send-off at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport last night. Meanwhile, Turkey's ambassador to Malaysia, Emir Salim Yüksil, expressed his gratitude for the show of solidarity by all Malaysians.
I'd like to thank to the government of Malaysia, to the people of Malaysia for the solidarity and the friendship that they are showing to us in this difficult time in Turkey. With the help of our brothers and of course Malaysia, inshallah we will overcome this problem as soon as possible. So thank you very much once again.
Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim's official visit to Thailand starting today is expected to expand existing cooperation and to explore new collaborations between the two neighbouring countries in the post-pandemic economic recovery. Director at the Centre of ASEAN Regionalism University Malaya Charum, Dr. Rahul Mishra said Malaysia and Thailand had established bilateral cooperation in various sectors to stimulate growth and development. Dr. Rahul said Malaysia and Thailand could also explore collaboration to work towards undertaking cross-border infrastructure projects. He added that Malaysia and Thailand may compete in micro, small and medium enterprises (MSME) sector, but the two countries also complement each other in cross-border tourism and supply chain. Malaysia and Thailand have set a bilateral trade target of 126 billion ringgit by 2025. In 2022, Thailand was Malaysia's 7th largest trading partner globally and the 3rd largest among ASEAN countries, with total trade amounting to 122.03 billion ringgit, an increase of 17.9% compared to the recorded value in 2021. The Premier will undertake his maiden 2-day official visit to Thailand, where he will hold a meeting with his Thai counterpart, Prayut Chan-o-cha, to discuss the way forward in strengthening the multifaceted cooperation between Malaysia and Thailand. Datuk Seri Anwar and Prayut will witness the exchange of 4 memorandum of understanding in the fields of energy cooperation and digital economy. This is Datuk Seri Anwar's 4th international official visit after Indonesia, Brunei and Singapore since he was sworn in as the 10th Prime Minister on 24th November last year. The implementation of the Menu Rahmah initiative, which offers a meal at 5 ringgit and below since the end of last month, incurs neither any expenditure nor allocation from the government. Domestic Trade and Cost of Living KPDN Minister Datuk Seri Salahuddin Ayub said instead it was entirely up to the commitment of food operators who voluntarily joined the initiative. He said since its launch, Menu Rahmah has been well received throughout the country, with many eateries responding to the government's aspiration in helping to feed those in need, especially the B40 group. Datuk Seri Salahuddin said his ministry has never forced any business, entrepreneur or food industry player, big or small, to get involved in the sale of Menu Rahmah. However, he revealed that the government is considering to provide subsidy for small business owners that want to join the initiative.
Menu Rahmah ini sedang mendapat perhatian daripada Yang Berhormat Perdana Menteri. Dia telah memasukkan vision besar ini dalam bajet yang akan datang, yang akan dibentangkan pada minggu hadapan ini. Jadi saya rasa kerajaan akan melihat tentang perkara ini, dan sekiranya ada bajet ataupun ada peluang untuk kita menawarkan sesuatu, kita akan umum kemudian.
Datuk Seri Salahuddin said his ministry is developing an application that contains a directory of eateries that offer Menu Rahmah dishes throughout the country. He said it was to provide the people with more information about the food operators participating in the government's initiative in their area, as well as promoting outlets that dish out Menu Rahmah meals. A total of 95% of the 909 complaints received through the Aduan Suri QR code since its launch last month has been resolved. Deputy Minister of Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Fuzia Saleh said the complaints were mostly related to steep prices of goods, the lack of supply and online purchases. The Aduan Suri QR Code initiative was launched on 12 January and it allows consumers to lodge complaints directly via the WhatsApp application to the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Cost of Living KPDN by scanning the provided QR code. Fuzia said KPDN would expand the initiative by placing the QR code in supermarkets and shops in addition to distributing fridge magnets with the code to the public.
Kita dalam dua proses sekarang. Satu proses kemas kini, upgrade sistem supaya dia lebih efektif dan efisien. Kedua ialah kita mohon kerjasama daripada semua nanti untuk letak di semua tempat di pasar raya. Ya. Sekarang ni kita bermula dengan rumah, ya. Lepas tu di pasar raya dan di mana-mana saja yang pengguna boleh ni, mungkin di kedai-kedai, ya, supaya mereka boleh scan on the spot, ya, kalau mereka tak buat.
Meanwhile, Fuzia said that last year the ministry received a total of 29,265 complaints, of which 13,755 were lodged by women through various platforms, including the e-Aduan portal and the Easy Adu application, adding that complaints over online transactions topped the list at 8,847, followed by prices of goods 7,259 and misleading services 6,095. PERA is hopeful that the federal government will be able to channel an allocation of 3 billion ringgit as expenditure specifically for its people-centric projects ahead of the 2023 budget, which will be presented on 24th February. Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Sarani Mohamad said the allocation was to fund commitments of the state and the request had been presented to Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Datuk Seri Sarani said he has led a state delegation to hold a meeting with the Prime Minister and has presented a list that requires immediate solutions for the people, such as additional beds at Raja Permaisuri Bainun Hospital HRPB, repairs of federal roads and others.
Kita utamakan kepada yang berkaitan dengan rakyat secara terus. Contoh, rungutan orang ramai berkaitan dengan jalan raya yang rosak. Highway Timur Barat contohnya. Rungutan orang ramai berkaitan dengan ketidakcukupan katil di Hospital Permaisuri Bainun. Itu benda yang rapat dengan kita lah. Ya, banyaklah permohonan, katakan 3 bilion lebih tadi. Tapi kita minta Kementerian Keuangan insya-Allah tolong berikan keutamaan kepada kita sebab selepas Covid kita perlu bangunkan balik, mensejahterakan balik rakyat.
The Menteri Besar said this after launching the Student Emergency Aid and Donation of Free Food Aid under 2023 Tuition Cikgu Sarani TCS initiative. Still to come, Perodua aims steady sales of new Axia model. Stay tuned. Perusahaan otomobil kedua Sdn Bhd Perodua is targeting to sell 5,700 units of the all-new Perodua Axia model, codenamed D74A model, monthly. The automotive manufacturer has already received brisk bookings of 3,591 units for the D74A that will be launched on 14th February. Perodua President and Chief Executive Officer Datuk Seri Zainal Abidin Ahmad said the SE and AV variants were the hits compared to the G and X variants since the booking was opened on 31st January. Speaking to reporters after the test drive of D74A today, Datuk Seri Zainal said the tentative price range for the car in Peninsular Malaysia without insurance is between 38,600 and 49,500. 100. Meanwhile, Perodua said in a statement that sales for the month of January 2023 jumped 23% to 21,449 units registered, compared with 17,444 units for the same month last year. In terms of production, Perodua made 24,590 units in January this year, up to 40.2% from 17,538 units manufactured in January 2022. For 2023, Perodua is targeting to register sales of 314,000 units and produce 330,000 units. Datuk Sri Zainal said Perodua remains committed to its goal of vehicle delivery to Perodua's customers as quickly as possible without compromising on quality or safety. The death toll in the tragic Genting Highlands accident involving a van increased to 7 when another victim who was sent to the Kuala Lumpur hospital for treatment succumbed to the injuries suffered during the accident. The accident at kilometre 4.8 Jalan Genting Highlands near Bentong, Pahang yesterday afternoon had already claimed 6 victims. Pahang Police Chief Datuk Sri Ramli Muhammad Yusof said the 7 who died have been identified as Wong Chown Chit, 49, Fong Alan, 67, Lee Moy, 67, Goh Siu Kim, 61, Ang Meng Hing, 62, Xiao Mi Tin, 72, and Chang Tem Kong, 70. Datuk Sri Ramli said initial investigations revealed that 13 passengers in the van were heading to Pulau Pinang from Genting Highlands when the van they were travelling in lost control and hit the concrete divider. He said 6 others who were injured were sent to Kuala Lumpur Hospital, including the one who died, while 2 others who were sent to the Bentong Hospital were later transferred to the Temerloh Hospital. Biden denies US-China conflict. That and more coming up in the foreign segment. US President Joe Biden said relations with China have not taken a big hit and that the United States would compete with Beijing following the downing of a Chinese airship believed to be used for surveillance. China says an airship recently downed by the United States was used for meteorological and other scientific purposes.
No. No. You know, there were several of these balloons that during the last administration didn't even know they were there.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State said that the suspected Chinese spy balloons like the one it shot down were part of a fleet that has spanned 5 continents, pointing to global ramifications of the incident that has animated the United States. Blinken said the United States was giving data to allies as it assesses the recovered debris. The Washington Post, quoting U.S. officials, reported that the Chinese surveillance program has been running partly out of the southern island of Hainan. Updating old technology, the balloons have been used to monitor the military assets of nearby rivals, such as Japan, India, and Taiwan. Yesterday, Biden said that his orders to shoot down the balloon showed that the United States would not hesitate to act when needed. He also stressed that the United States did not want conflict with China. China, which voiced regret about the air intrusion but later denounced the U.S. decision to down it, responded to Biden that it would also firmly defend its interests. International prosecutors said they had found indications that Russian President Vladimir Putin approved the use in Ukraine of a Russian missile system which shot down Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 MH17 over the east of the country in 2014. However, evidence of Putin's and other Russian officials' involvement was not conclusive enough to lead to a criminal conviction, they said, ending their probe for now. MH17 was shot down by a Russian Buk missile system as it flew over eastern Ukraine from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur, killing all 298 passengers and crew, including 196 Dutch citizens. Prosecutors said they could not identify the specific soldiers responsible for operating the missile system, which came from Russia's 53rd Brigade in Kursk. The 2014 conversation between Russian officials indicated Putin's approval was necessary before a request for equipment made by the separatists could be granted. In November, a Dutch court convicted 2 former Russian intelligence agents and a Ukrainian separatist leader of murder for helping arrange the missile system used to shoot the plane down. The men who were tried in absentia remain at large. 2 children died and 6 others were injured after a bus rammed into a daycare centre in the Montreal area suburb of Laval on Wednesday morning. The bus driver, a 51-year-old employee of the municipality's public transit system, was arrested for homicide and reckless driving. Police declined to provide more details while they investigate and question the driver, who they said has worked for the transit system for 10 years and does not have a criminal record. The incident happened at about 8:30 a.m. of local time, when kids are usually dropped off by their parents at daycare centres. The circumstances around the crash or a possible motive were not immediately clear. Police said the 6 children who were taken to the hospital did not have life-threatening injuries. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau expressed condolences to families after the incident, thanked first responders and said the government will support the families in the days, the months and the years to come. Laval is about 30 kilometres northwest of Montreal in Quebec, Canada's second most populous province. Walt Disney Company on yesterday announced a sweeping corporate restructuring that will result in 7,000 people losing their jobs as part of an effort to achieve $5.5 billion in cost savings. The layoffs represent an estimated 3.6% of Disney's global workforce. The media company, which is under pressure to turn a profit from its global streaming business, said it would reorganize into 3 segments: an entertainment unit that encompasses film, television and streaming, a sports-focused ESPN unit, and Disney Parks, Experiences and Products. The company said the restructuring would streamline operations, making its business more efficient and reducing costs. Disney is the latest media company to announce job cuts in response to slowing subscriber growth and increased competition for streaming viewers. Disney earlier reported its first quarterly decrease in subscriptions for its Disney streaming media unit, which lost more than $1 billion. The last time Disney made cuts was during the height of the pandemic, when it announced in November 2020 that it would lay off 32,000 workers, primarily at its theme parks. The cuts took place in the first half of fiscal 2021. Disney said it planned to cut $2.5 billion in sales and general administrative expenses and other operating costs, an effort that is already underway. Another $3 billion in savings would come from reductions in non-sports content, including the layoffs. Next in sports, Man United bounced back to draw with managerless Leeds. Stay with us.
Kejohanan Liga Hoki TNB 2023 memburu piala berprestij di Arena Hoki Negara. Khamis 9 Februari, KPT United Thunder bertemu Negeri Sembilan 6 petang, dan Tenaga Nasional Berhad bertemu Terengganu Hoki Team 8.30 minit malam di saluran OK dan saluran sukan RTM. Saksikan juga secara penstreaman langsung di RTM Klik. Eksklusif hanya di RTM.
Heriot-Watt University of Malaysia, HWUM, is working together with Nicole David Organisation, NDO, in strengthening children aged 8 to 12 years old from low and medium income family through sports and education. HWUM will play the role of conducting researches and give opportunity to university students to take part as a volunteer or trainer at NDO.
Firstly, having their students to come on board to be our interns, but who knows, maybe their students can become one of our researchers for other things in child development, in how sport can influence child progression and confidence.
She said this at a media conference after signing the Memorandum of Understanding MOU in Putrajaya. Also present were member of NDO Board of Director Tan Sri Tunku Imran Tunku Jaafar and HWUM Chief Executive Officer Professor Mustaq Al-Atabi. For the first time ever, M5 League Football Championship will be organised by a state football association. Kelantan Football Association, KAFA, will become the first football association to set up a league known as Kelantan Football League, KFL, for players in Kelantan. Amateur Football League AFL Chairman Datuk Wira Muhammad Yusof Mahadi is optimistic that through the organisation of KFL, Kelantan will be able to produce more local players to represent the national squad.
Saya kira Kelantan dah mengorak langkah dulu daripada negeri-negeri lain apabila mengadakan usaha sama dengan beberapa company luar yang ingin mewujudkan Liga Bola Sepak Kelantan. Jadi saya fikir dengan pengujudan ini ataupun dengan gerakan ini, saya fikir banyak pemain-pemain. Kita kenal Kelantan ini sebuah negeri yang banyak menghasilkan pemain, dan dengan wujudnya liga ini, saya fikir ini akan dikembalikan balik ke kegairahan bola sepak di Kelantan.
He was met after signing Memorandum of Understanding MOU between Kelantan Football Association with SSFC Sport Management and Football Central Arena in Klang, Selangor. KFL Championships is expected to kick off on 25th February with 16 teams projected to participate. In Premier League race, Manchester United fought back from 2-0 down to rescue a point against managerless Leeds United after a thrilling 2-2 draw at the Old Trafford this morning. Leeds under the charge of caretaker boss Michael Skubala following the dismissal of Jesse Marsh struck after just 55 seconds through Wilfried Gnonto and went 2-0 up with a goal almost as early in the second half of courtesy of Rafael Varane turning the ball into his own net. But Man United pulled level with two quick-fire goals from Marcus Rashford and Jadon Sancho in the 62nd and 60th minutes to salvage a draw. The results keep Man United in third place, but just 3 points above fourth place Newcastle, who have a game in hand. Leeds' potentially vital point lifts them above West Ham and into 16th place on goal difference, a point above the relegation zone. Man United had beaten their Roses rivals Leeds by a scoreline of 11-3 in their previous two clashes at Old Trafford, and the visitors were on a 7-game Premier League winless streak that led to manager Marsh being sacked this week. The ends updates at noon. Wrapping up with a reminder of our top story today. Over 12,000 deaths reported in Turkey after earthquake's disaster. Tune in to News at 10, coming up at 10 p.m. on saluran Berita RTM. Till then, I'm Renee Fong. Stay tuned to TV2 and Salam Malaysia Madani.